Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back, baby. Welcome back. What's up? Hi.
Hey.
You know what we're going to do today?
What are we going to do?
We're going to talk about jazz today is what we're going to do. We're going to have to talk about jazz hands. How you doing,
I have
Mama?
a lot of jazz hands today.
Okay,
I'm feeling very jazzy.
Well, we're going to be jazzed up because today...
Yes.
Well, and we're going to do things a little bit different today because we are welcoming you to the Design Meets Live podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But today, one of my dearest friends and a brother from another mother from back home in New York City, although Mitchie is a token one of you people because he's from California, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's your peeps, loves, but he's visiting us into the studio. He's going to be zooming us into the studio in just a second. In fact, I don't know if he's there right now, but I'm going to talk over it anyway because... We're going to go back to the old school today. I hope you're ready to go back to the old school today.
I live in the old school. Are you kidding? Please.
You know what? There are many times when I send something from an 80s thing, that's 80, and she said, honey, please, don't even.
I've already listened to that 16 times today on loop.
Well,
Yeah,
so that we're going to be giving you that loop on a gab today because none other than my beautiful friend, Mitchell Kaplan, the Mitchie is going to be dialing in from just a little bit. Now, Mitchie is actually... one of the renowned and always in demand pianists for a lot of different musical shows in the Los Angeles area, but he travels all over the city. In fact, he is actually one of those who helmed with Beth Lapidus, the Uncabaret at El Cid in Los Angeles every end of the month. And that's going to be kicking off as well. And September 27th will be the next one for them. But he's also been, for many, many years, the musical director for one of my favorite, if not my favorite, comedian, and that is Lady Sandra Bernhard. Now, Mitchie...
Talk about iconic.
And, well, she is, actually. And one day we're going to find ourselves on Sandyland. Don't build your house on a Sandyland, children. But Mitch has also been, and this is the thing that we're going to do with the whole walking down memory lane thing. He has been working with everyone and their mother from Shaka 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 to Madonna to so many other people that we're going to talk about. And when you're dealing with this kind of creative folks, which I know you know about.
Yes.
Okay. You know, they always come from a different frame of mind. And I'm putting this nicely because I don't want it to sound strange. But our artists, our creative, people who are creative as you are as well. You know, we think differently, don't you think?
I do. And what I find fascinating is like we were talking about all the people that he's worked with, it's Mitch that makes it all happen. Truly. Like you cannot have the result,
without
the product, the show, the performance, the production. It doesn't exist without the creatives behind that front person. And it's so fascinating to me. It's almost like how it's made. Like, you know, when you...
Well, you do this on telly, so you know all the people who make it happen behind the scenes.
Exactly. And it's so key because they're fantastic and creative and smart, and they have one foot on both sides of the brain. And I just love talking to them and just getting in there and seeing what makes them tick. So we're going to do that.
This is one of before he zooms in here. In fact, I'll text the brother if I need to. But one of the things that he said in an email the other day was, it's the pairing of people. It's the group effort that makes it happen.
Exactly.
And finding Sandra back in 19, we're not going to say, but we're coming on decades, y'all. And finding her, it was a perfect pairing, he said, of that type of creativity and the comedy coming together.
Right.
And
that was unusual too. That was not normal, especially from a woman. And so you had this dynamic that she really stood out. She had a brashness about her that was fantastic. It was very Joan Rivers feel, you know, like there's only a handful that you can really put in that group.
And I wonder too, because they're both Jewish females who were doing that were so very loud and brash.
Because they were allowed to be. Everybody knew that they were, and they were allowed to be, so they just did it. But like Mitch knows better than anybody that all the women that he works with, like if we're talking about the women that he works with, are beyond strong, outspoken, driven, know exactly what they want to do. They know exactly what they want their show to look like. They know exactly the result. They know how people should feel when they leave their show. Like they know everything. And Mitch is one of the people one of the many on the team that actually makes it happen.
Okay, let's talk about you really quickly before he dials in.
All right. Okay, I like that.
When you have have you had people on behind the scenes with a gangster lean that you knew were not making it happen? And
oh yeah.
Okay, how do you deal with people like that?
You deal with them just like anything else, or anyone else, I should say. Anything. That's interesting because they are more like a figurehead. They are like a little like a decoration. But it depends on the machine. Like for example, the girls and boy groups, the musical groups that were thrown together, right? And so they're very talented, right? Very talented. They're the front pieces. They had all the things. They would try out. They didn't even know each other. They were thrown together, and then boom, you've got the magic. But who really made the magic was everybody behind the scenes.
Okay, speaking of everybody behind the scenes, I think we have to put these
We
things on and
do.
ruin my hair.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin my hair. Mitchie, are you there, sir?
I am here.
Hey! It's so good to see you. Okay,
too.
and don't worry about the photo. Guess what? I found one online, and you're gonna laugh at.
Oh, I didn't send one. I'm so sorry.
No, don't worry about it. I'm so happy to see you. Oh my God, I'm seeing my
Yeah.
brother from another mother. We haven't seen each other in a couple of
Good to meet you,
years. Hey,
Kelly.
Papa.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, we've been singing your praises as our intro,
Yeah.
and we'll do our other little thing at the end. But how are you doing today? Because you're always so busy and all over the two coasts.
I'm doing amazing today. You know, it's beautiful here in Southern California. It's probably 77 degrees. Timing. We had a heat wave, which was 105 for a week, which just ended 2 days ago. So we're in a great place.
Oh, that's good.
Wait a minute. Heat wave for
Yeah,
how long?
A week. My parents
Yeah.
were in it too. I'm from SoCal. SoCal girl.
Yeah,
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm from the other two coasts. Well, I'll just shut my mouth up.
Yeah, we're gonna be like 11 over here on Cali for a minute.
Well, and we've been guest gabbing about you because what we were saying when you were coming in was, it's the people behind the scenes with the gangsterly that make so much happen. And then with what we have talked about with some of the stuff that you and I spoke of last week,
yeah.
as a man behind the scenes, it's without you a lot of stuff. Well, without you, a lot of people are nothing. And so
It's true.
And
It's
so
true.
we've already gotten through that. Now let's start back at the beginning, if that's okay, really quickly, because you were born in the Bay Area, up north in California, but
San
then
Francisco.
in San Fran. But then you shimmied down to LA by 11, which just also happened to be when you were kind of coming out as this wonderkind of sorts in piano, and I believe it was also your first big recital when you were 11, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I played a recital in my junior high school, and I played the theme from Love Story.
Oh, I love that song so much. Oh,
Right?
yes. It's
That's so
good.
weird. That song came up this week. I'm surprised to hear that.
I
That's-
actually have the album on my wall. I do.
I love that, Kelly. That's amazing.
I do.
Are we talking Ryan O'Neal and Ally McGraw?
Yes.
That's correct.
The theme song is so beautiful.
that-
Okay.
It's beautiful.
Okay, well, that's just the third time that's come up this week, and that is very weird because, come on now. Okay, so let me ask you the simple, cheesy question that we ask most artists. Was there a time or a moment that you knew, okay, I've got to be doing this? Like, what drove you to piano, or was it your parents saying, go do something creative?
Well, it's funny. When I was 9 years old, I was taking tennis lessons at this little country club place near our house as a kid. And I wasn't particularly gifted as a tennis player, but they had a clubhouse. And one day I went in the clubhouse, and there was another little kid there playing the piano, and he had a bunch of little girls around the piano, all excited to hear him. And I said to myself, I want to do that. I want to be that. And I asked my mom for piano lessons, and next thing you know, I loved it and devoted myself to this.
Oh, that's
And
so
have not
fantastic.
stopped. Can I ask you, back then in the day, what kind of music did you groove to? Like, did it promote you or push you to doing that kind of, playing that kind of music? Like, what did you like as a kid? Before we get to the nitty gritty.
I loved pop music. I loved pop music in the 70s. I think I gravitated a lot towards R&B music in the 70s. Loved the Philly sound. Loved the music of Tom Bell. He's a producer in Philadelphia. Created the stylistics. Put your back up around. So that kind of music I loved, and it had really beautiful chords. It was, I believe, a lot of it probably was created on piano, and so I related to it. Wanted to learn how to play those songs. You know, I would hear a song on the radio. The first thing that went through my mind as a child was, I have to learn how to play that.
That's great.
And so by 11, could you hear something, or 12 and get to it?
I was starting to develop those skills, but I would, want to get the sheet music or something and just
And
dive into it.
I love that so much. I think
Do you play anything?
I do play the piano, so that's why that theme song was also one of my favorites. So, and also Somewhere in Time, and it motivated me to play the piano because I love the theme song to Somewhere in Time. It's my favorite. John Barry.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, John Barry,
Yeah.
so you know. And so I had the same exact motivation, and I never was able to just sit and play. And I also could barely read music, so I had to just play. Once I learned it, then I would memorize it because it's a skill that I do not have. The hands and the reading do not happen at the same time. So I
did piano
appreciate
too.
that. But I want to go back. Speaking of some of these classic songs, right?
Please, Lord.
So I'm a child of the 80s, love 80s music. And this is kind of like when you are in the groove, right? You're like, the 80s is the thing. I think we have some fantastic music from that era, if I do say so. But like, how do you see current music versus some of that classic stuff that we love so much? What's the feeling? Do you feel like we've got some good music out now?
I feel we have some good music out right now, and I feel like some of the new young music makers, they are also inspired by 80s, 90s, and they're sort of incorporating that in the new music they create.
Okay, yeah, that actually makes that
That new
really
Sabrina
makes sense.
Carpenter album has a lot of that 80s, 90s sound. I've noticed that. as
Sure.
well. Chapel Rowan, Charlie XC. This whole
Yeah,
this
Chapel
last
Rowan.
summer, this last summer was
Ooh.
just a banger of.
Totally. So I've got a question here for you. So who was the first artist who used your songwriting on an album? I think there's a good story here.
There's a very good story. My parents lived in Palm Springs. They owned a dry cleaner. One day, these lyricists came in and they told my parents they had just written for this R&B group named Champagne. And I think my mom said, "Well, my son is a songwriter. He's a composer. You should get together." And I was still a teenager. And
Yay, mom.
so I connect with these people. And we go into the studio, we record a demo of the song we wrote called Only Once. And they were very good at selling themselves. And in 2 weeks, they got it to a publishing company called Geffen K Music. And shortly after that, Shaka Khan loved the song and she ended up recording it.
Oh my gosh, I have chills.
Which
I do. I
Which
have
is amazing.
chills. That is amazing at
You're
such
just
a young
kid.
age.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and what was crazy, I thought, oh my God, this is so easy. And shortly afterwards, that I was really lucky and fortunate how everything fell into place with that experience. But it was an amazing entree into the world of songwriting, and I got to collaborate with some amazing collaborators after that, like Dean Pitchford, who wrote Fame and Footloose.
And Footloose as well, he said?
So good, yeah.
Oh, there was a little bit of a bleep there. Sorry, Footloose. Wow. Okay. I had no idea.
Yeah, and it was a very exciting time as a songwriter because during that period, artists so much didn't write songs. Songwriters would pitch their songs to producers and artists and get their songs recorded. Where now, almost all the artists, they co-write all the material that is on their albums or they put out.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's fascinating how the business has changed, right?
Oh, and that's some of the stuff I wanted to get to in a little while too, because with some of these legends that you've worked with as well, I know when we were speaking last week, you mentioned Mr. Riggs, Seth Riggs, who actually had the distinction, I believe, of being you called him the vocal coach to the stars, right?
Absolutely. And when I was going to UCLA, I took a part-time job, working for Seth as a piano accompanist. And it was an incredible experience because I got to play for the voice lessons for people like Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Madonna,
This is
Annie
nice.
Lennox, the Bangles, Olivia Newton-John.
Oh,
And so a normal day would be hour sessions with all these people in one day.
Oh my-
So
can you imagine? Were you just
It was-
pinching yourself?
I was pinching myself all the time. And At that time, this is right before the Virgin tour that Madonna went on, and she would come in 3 days a week for voice lessons. So I would see her
Wow.
3 times a week,
Oh
go
my.
over songs, playing them on the piano in a really intimate situation in a small room. And it was incredible. It was incredible,
What was
inspiring.
what was her work ethic like, I
Mm.
wonder, back then when she
Um,
was
well, she was amazing because she would show up for her lessons 15 minutes early all the time. And this is before there were cell phones where if you're
Mm-hmm.
waiting for something, you look at your cell phone and scroll. She would just be in a very meditative, quiet state and getting ready for her lesson. And she was friendly, but you could see she was focused. She was in deep thought, and she was amazing.
What an incredible gig.
I mean, and Janet and
Oh
Michael
my
and
gosh.
Annie.
I wouldn't even know what was happening. I'd be like, am I still alive?
Uh, I remember this this silly
But
please.
I,
Well,
I
no,
was going to share.
yeah.
It was a wonderful time in pop music because I remember, for
Mm.
instance, the Bangles coming in, and they would
Prince.
have a lesson, maybe Anna. And I remember one day Susanna Hoffs was a little almost crying. She said, "I don't know why we're doing this. We'll never be as successful or they have a career like this." Before they broke with Manic Monday, she said, "We'll never have a success like Madonna's had or is having." And it was sort of interesting to be on the around these artists before they had huge successes and went on to greater successes. This is before Janet Jackson released Control.
Wow.
So
Wow.
is an amazing experience. And often I would get to collaborate with some of these people. I met this young artist. She was a teenager at the time, Martika,
Mm-hmm.
who had went on to have a #1 international hit with Boy Soldiers, and we got to write songs together. I wrote a song for her debut album, which was a big hit in Spain too back in the day.
And she also sings in
So,
Spanish, if I remember
Mm-hmm.
correctly.
Yep.
yeah,
Martica. She was
so
Cubana.
it was a blessing. It was such a blessing to be in an environment like that. And as a musician, you know, as a songwriter, you'll to keep all the balls rolling. You'll take a job as an accompanist. You'll have to wear different hats
Yeah.
to as a musician to keep it going.
Do you think sorry, but the young upstarters up today, do you think that they are in that same groove of understanding that to keep the ball rolling in different, wearing different hats and things of that nature with the hustle, I guess we can call it?
I hope they do, and I think you never know where certain opportunities come from, and you just have to be open to the possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's being able to see it, right? Because, like you said, sometimes
True.
people don't think that there's like, oh, this is too small or this is not what I want. But it's in the beginning, it's yes, 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 and then figure it out, right? And
absolutely.
you just do it, and you
Yeah.
don't know what's going to lead to there's baby steps sometimes, and it might not be what you had as your grand vision, but it's for
Hmm.
sure not going to be terrible. You're going to learn something out of it. You're going to take something out of it, and who knows, right? Who knows what's going to happen?
Like what you
Yeah,
were saying too with Susanna Hoffs. You said Prince and the Bengals, but you also didn't Prince also produce Martika?
he did. He went on to produce Martika. Yeah.
Interesting. So, a couple of those. When you think back at those times, what was one of the things that you wish that we could still retain? I know that's off not on the questions list. Sorry. But what's one of the things that you wish we could have retained from that 80s, 90s more 80s, I guess, songwriting time versus now, where they have groups of writers come together to do one album?
Um, well, it was an amazing time. It was a very exciting time to meet songwriters, and there were a lot of people who devoted themselves to songwriting full time.
Mm.
Um, I remember going to a party 1986, and this girl, and I was sort of wearing, I looked like a musician. I was sort of in a musician garb of sorts. And this girl came up to me and she introduced herself. She said, "Hi, what's your name?" "I'm Diane Warren." And she
Oh,
was just and she was just checking out. She was not afraid to approach anyone, and
There you
Still
go.
not, it seems. She's got that energy.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and it's a lot about that. And if there was an opportunity to work with another writer or artist, you would jump for it. It was
Right.
a very exciting time.
I think
Yeah,
that's true probably. I mean, even now, right? It's just that
The digital world
the
has
digital
changed it.
world, the digital world has changed so much that you don't have to really be in the proximity of those people anymore. You know, we can
yeah,
Look at
look
us
at us
here.
now. You know,
Okay.
you can
yeah,
collab,
absolutely.
Thanks,
you know?
pandemic.
Yeah. Well, we all learned, you know, that it used to be something so terrible, but now we can be digital and collab. You've heard songs where people are on a phone calling in on the other side of the world, adding their, you
Lyric
know,
to it.
yeah, their chorus or whatever they're adding. It's amazing.
Well, here's another song. Like AI, Bjork and Rosalia just did a video not
Oh,
together
there you go.
on this new track.
Crazy.
It
Yeah.
is. How do you feel? I'll get off the question track again, but how do you feel about AI coming into the mix as a producer, as a mixer, as a writer? Because you do it as a musical director. Then there's AI there. How do you feel about that?
You know, I'm curious to see what opportunities it creates for creators, and I think it could bring some great things. Definitely.
That's the glass half full perspective that I really I like about Mitch. Yeah, I like that
exactly.
about you because we can all, you know, complain, do this, do that, but it's true of anything that's come out that's new, right? We can find the good or the bad and then embrace it because there will be new jobs, new careers, new employment, new sectors, everything new, but there'll be a new guy who's running the AI and putting things together. You know, there's a kid out there going, I can produce music using these tools that we've never heard of before. So,
Well,
you
we
know,
haven't, but and later on towards the end, you're going to tell us how you're working in this as well because you know, as you said, you know, 10 minutes ago, you have to, the adaptation, you keep going, you keep going, you keep
Right.
going, the adaptation to things. How discerning,
Absolutely.
yeah. When you okay, can we get to some of the comedic performance artists?
sure,
I would love
yes.
that.
Aha. All right. So it's 1985. You're in a different world. Okay, sorry. And you're taking this journey into this brilliant world of this staged musical production, stand-ups and things like that. You run into, or how did you meet the great comic Sandra Bernhard? How did that come
Um,
about?
you know, it was by chance. It was amazing. I had a friend. His name was John Boscovich, and he was a super creative. He was an artist, a conceptual artist, and he said to me one day, "I have this friend. Her name is Sandra Bernhard. She's a comedian. You might know her. She was in a film, The King of Comedy. She just put out an album, and I think she should be doing performances like Bette Midler. She's amazing comedian. She sings, and I think she could expand what she does as a performer. Um, it would be fun for us, the three of us, to collaborate on something." And so he took me to the Comedy Store in LA, where he was playing a Joni Mitchell song for her at the Comedy Store, which was so not the flavor of what
No.
Joni Mitchell be played. And then we became fast friends, and we would get together all the time at my apartment in Los Feliz in Los Angeles, and we would work for 2 or 3 hours going through different songs. There would be a meal involved, and we all became the best of friends. And then we started taking it out on the road in '86, and our work eventually developed into a show called Without You I'm Nothing, which ran off Broadway for about 8 months in '88.
That's so great.
And you haven't, the two of you have continued now to work for decades together.
We still do, and if any of listeners are out there, we're doing 11 shows at Joe's Pub in New York
Wow.
over the holidays,
Hell yeah.
and,
Annual,
and
baby.
putting together a new show right now.
Okay.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay. Well, I feel like Sandra's shows at Joe's Pub every winter break it's part of New York lore now,
Totally.
and I've been there a
Yes.
couple of times. And in fact, we met at Joe's Pub, you and I, so many years ago.
That's correct.
Darn tootin'. Well,
There you
Kelly,
go. You don't
it's all
want
you, Goo.
you
It's
want to
all
age
you, Boo.
yourself, right? Okay. So
No, we are thin, young, and gorgeous. All three of us are thin, young, and gorgeous.
well, going back to some real talk, like we do generally here on Design Meets Life, you've overcome some pretty challenging things along the way
Yes, Lord.
with the career, but through it all, you've continued to broaden your work experience and network of creatives. That's so important, right? Like broadening the network, like you said, go, go, go. Yes, yes, yes.
We were talking about earlier when we did the intro.
Right.
It's
Well,
necessary.
you're working with Beth Lapidus Monthly. So for a couple of years now on say it for me.
Uncabaret
The
in
Uncabaret
LA.
in LA. I always want to say that with more of a, I don't know, because it's a French word. I'm like, oh, yeah, exactly. The Uncabaret in LA. It's like, tell us about the some of the great comics and performers that you've seen coming into that monthly show.
In fact, wasn't Beth with you in the car just now?
Really?
That was me in the car.
Love it.
Yeah. So Beth created this show many years ago, almost 30 years ago in LA, called On Cabaret.
Wow.
And basically it was, she saw in the comedy world like people like Ice Clay and that, like a lot of misogynist comedy at the Comedy Store. And she thought there had to be a different way to do this, to share humor comedy. And she created this show back in the day, the early 90s. And when I met Beth, it was about 2010. She hadn't done it for a long time. She was working on her own one-person show called 100% Happy, 88% of the time. And I said, Beth, why don't we bring back On Cabaret? That would be so much fun. And she said, okay, we'll do one show. We booked really interesting people for the show. Margaret Cho did it. Florence LaRue, who was an original singer from The Fifth Dimension, was in this show as a musical guest.
Wow.
And it was a big success. So next thing you know, we turned it into a weekly show. And it was so much fun. We ended up doing a little Amazon series with it and had, various comedians that Beth had worked with over the years, like Bob Odenkirk, Patton Oswalt, Karen
Love you, Bob.
Kokara,
Yeah, he's
Moon Zappa, and then some newer
Moon
comedians.
Unit?
Oh,
my
yeah,
God.
she's very good. Yes. And then, Beth has a really good eye. She wants people not to do their hacky routines. It's almost like late night television from the 70s or 80s where you saw people.
Yes.
And so these performers would do comedy, but it was almost a conversation with the audience and talking about what's happening in their lives now.
It reminds me of the Hugh Hefner Playboy show he used to have on TV.
Absolutely.
Like that, right?
Like
it was
a little
supposed to
variety hour?
well, yeah, kind of behind the scenes, and like you're getting to know them, and they're in your living room kind of feel. And it was his TV show, and he would have the tops, Sammy Davis Jr. and all kinds of really.
When did they stop this? Because they used to do them all the time, didn't they? In
They
the
did.
60s, 70s,
They
even in the
did.
80s.
Yep.
And then all these variety cabaret things
I
stopped.
love them. Well, all of the big shows at the time were done that way.
Didn't Cher start that way?
Cher started that way. Carol Burnett started that way. It was a combination
Absolutely.
of comedy and cabaret. And oh my gosh, I would love to see that.
Performance art, which
Yes.
Mitch, you have been working behind the scenes and with the Gangsta Lean making this happen for so long. So,
Absolutely.
I believe they're usually towards the end of the month each in El Cid. Is it still at El Cid?
Yeah. We have a show at LC coming up at the end of the month. I heard you mention earlier in the show. Thank you.
Shout out, excuse me.
And, Beth has a really good eye. I think I have a good eye, too, for new talent. For this upcoming show, we have one of our newer performers, a performer named Alex Edelman, who just had a hit show on Broadway, and he won a special Tony for that show. He's going to be one of our guests coming up. And so it's always exciting. New people come in. We have musical guests. Also, there was a young artist named Phoebe Bridgers, who was introduced to us 8 years ago. And she's done our show a lot. And of course, we all know she went on to win 4 Grammys
That's
this
damn
past
right.
year for
Damn right.
Boy Genius.
Wow.
And so it feels fresh. It keeps on changing. And it's always exciting when new young talent come in.
And it's been going for
And
so long. That doesn't happen. I mean,
To bring it back after so long too, and
yeah.
keep it, maintaining well, like you said, you have to have the different. I'm sorry, I do have a frog in my throat, and I don't know why the Jesus would let this happen.
We can hear it. I know.
I can't hear it. Your voice
Yeah.
You
is
can't
great.
hear it, okay.
No.
But to keep it fresh, youthful, fun. Yes, I'm stealing stuff from Sandra. But to keep it youthful, fresh, and fun, you keep the different blood going. Now, when you are doing different things, because you've also been involved in other recent things to keep it fresh, youthful, fun. But one of the things that I want to mention that you said was it's the
I
collaboration.
want to.
Please.
I want to push one more thing.
Oh
And
yeah,
Beth
we're not
also-
done, honey. We're not done. But please
Beth
push.
also has a new show she's promoting called It's a Lot, a one-person show. We're excited. We're taking that on the road. Shows in California, Palm Springs, coming up in November. And
And that one's called. That was. I'm so sorry, my brother. We just had a little glitch in the Matrix. You said that this new show is called "It's a Lot," and that's also Beth Lapidus.
yes, her
Awesome.
solo show.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
great.
And you're taking that on the road in November. Can you give us,
Yeah.
without any spoilers, it's about like what she's going through right now? Is it her?
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Which we're all going through. But yes, it's
Child, this show is timeless, but we are all going through it.
Yeah, It's a Lot is a perfect title.
But the thing you mentioned earlier about keeping things on the roll, and I know I keep saying that, but you're also working with an incredible outfit out of London in Los Angeles in teaching and working with electronic music as well.
yes.
In fact, I want to say the right thing. Is it called
Point
Point
Blank.
Blank? Yeah.
Yes.
Why, at this moment in time, at the lovely age of 49, are you continuing to push into an element like electronica? Because that's something that's, from a different realm, although you've done a lot of house music, I have
Yeah.
to say.
Well, to tell you the truth, I got hired there to teach a couple singing classes, a vocal musicianship course, and they are very generous with the teachers there. They give us the opportunity to take classes,
Oh,
and yeah, it's amazing
Yeah.
for free.
wow.
And I've always wanted to improve my skills with the digital workstations such as Logic, Ableton, Pro Tools,
Mm-hmm.
which I've never really invested as much time as I wish I would have. And now I've had this opportunity, and I've been taking all these classes there, taking an advanced Ableton creative production course now, and it's amazing. And to sit in a classroom with all these 20, 21-year-olds and
Darling, we're
Learning
all
with
doing it.
I
Right.
think that's so
And-
fantastic.
and they're so inspiring, and
Yeah.
the courses and the instructors are amazing, and it's invigorated me. And I've started new collaborations with young people I've met at the school too, who are so talented, and it's really fun.
It seems like everywhere you walk, I imagine you. I mean, LA is really ripe with people to know and meet, and there's always somebody around the corner. But I literally have images of you just kind of walking down the street and bumping into somebody super important,
you
and then
worked
you
with.
that you just start a new collaboration because your spectrum is so broad in what you've done. It's like, did you think as a pianist that you would ever be doing what you're currently doing?
Well, I'll tell you something interesting. When I was younger, I have a little bit of stage fright, and I kind of figured it out. I don't necessarily need to be the front person. And I love writing music. I love being musical director, accompanist. I love coaching. I love teaching private students. I love doing all that. And talent is such a big turn on. When you see someone who is creative or talented, I'm attracted to those kind of people, and if I can support them in some way, that's amazing.
Hell yeah.
I love that. So it's very altruistic, your drive, because what I haven't heard,
Absolutely.
right? I haven't heard one time you mentioned, well, I thought I would make a lot of money doing this. And that is what tells me that you are so perfectly aligned with your passion that
Yes,
The point of this show too.
right. It keeps coming
yeah,
at you. It keeps coming to you because of that. You are exactly in that space where you're supposed to be. Have you ever felt that way?
absolutely, completely.
Yeah, it seems.
And I think my creative life can be defined that way, definitely. And I've made sure there's some other decisions I would have made differently, but the creative impulse always is what my heart followed.
Do you think it's still
Yeah,
easy to keep following that creative impulse in the digital age? I mean, I guess in hindsight, we're going to say, of course it is, but with there's so much distraction that we did not have, even into the 2000s, we didn't have this distraction all the time. And I wonder if you still see it as easy to, keep that going. Not for necessarily you, but for new learners who are coming up as you work with them, in fact.
absolutely,
Okay, good.
absolutely. Um, and at the school, point blank, I see these kids come in, and they're so creative, and they are so talented and work so hard, and it's exciting to be around them, definitely,
For
and
sure.
learn from them also.
I was just
You
going to
know,
say
yeah,
Mm,
learning from them is
true that.
key.
yeah,
And do you find that they're willing to share? Because I feel like we're in a share culture, right? And it feels very different than that. Obviously, we share everything, right? It's just like,
Hmm.
here it is, and this is how you do it, and this is how you find it. Like, we're in a collaborative culture, I feel like, where people can say, social media and this, the phone is detrimental, but at the same time, it's also opened our world so much that I feel like the creativity is off the charts sometimes. I'm sure you run into this, like you said, at the school, that these kids that just, you think, where did you get that?
eh, absolutely. And what has been great about this school too, it's an international school. So I've had students from Spain in my classes. I've had students from Bangladesh. I mean, all over the world, and they're all incredible.
Wow, that's so good. I love that so much.
And on top of the other things that you're working on, you've got another thing that's coming out that's actually just been released. And at the time of this recording, in fact, I believe that they're premiering this documentary. Um, it's a documentary
This
called
evening,
Studio. This
Oh, tonight.
It's tonight. That's
tonight,
right.
it's tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
you've got to dress up for that, love.
Oh, I
Okay,
love
it's a
it.
documentary called Studio One Forever, and I need you to tell us a little bit about that, please. Can you tell us a little
Okay,
bit about that
Studio
history?
was a gay disco in Los Angeles in West Hollywood. It opened in 1974. Steve Rubel, who did,
Studio 54.
thank you very much, Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
He came to Los Angeles in '74, was inspired by Studio One, and of course
Ah,
went on to open Studio 54 in New York. And so this was the biggest gay disco in the United
I'm
States.
looking it up right
And it was a big,
now.
big part of gay culture in Los Angeles. And what's interesting about this particular club, they also had a, a cabaret room where people like Bernadette Peters and
oh,
No.
I
Cheetah
love
Rivera,
her. I love her.
Liza Minnelli, and various people did shows in this room, like in the late '70s.
I
Wow.
am so about
So
this.
fast forward a little bit, I'm still going to UCLA. I get a job as an accompanist on a Monday night showcase night there at this club. It's amazing. Every Monday night is a talent show with like an open mic, but a little more sophisticated. You had to audition for it. But people like Roseanne um, Rosie O'Donnell were regulars on this show. And then every once in a while, you'd have someone like Luther Vandross would pop in, and I'd get to play a song for him in the show.
Stop
So,
it.
so, so this is the early part of my life. Fast forward about 4 years ago, this documentary filmmaker wants to tell the story of Studio One, and asked me to write a couple songs for this project, which I did. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing. I'm excited for it to premiere tonight. And it will be released on Amazon internationally on October 9th, so you can watch it on Amazon.
Oh my
There
gosh,
you go.
we're going to do a promotion before that. We're going to watch together.
And
right?
by the
Yeah.
time this is airing, it should already be out on Amazon International as well, so all through Amazon's platforms.
Oh, that's
Studio
so
One
cool.
forever.
That's
I'm so damn
exciting.
proud of you, Poppy, because you contributed songs to this.
You just said, yeah, you wrote them. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you did contribute.
Yeah. Yeah, he said he's got, how many songs did you do? You said 3, right?
I did 2 songs
Two.
for this project. Yeah.
But this
One
is
is like
something
a-
you lived, this was your life. So they couldn't do it without you. I just love that they reached out to you. That's so cool.
It's amazing.
So,
Yeah, amazing.
can I ask you really quickly, because of I'm so sorry for the little time glitches with the sound sometimes, but you said that what time were you working there at Studio One?
This is like 1982.
Wow, early 80s. So even before all the sessions with Seth.
What a career.
And you were just a baby. I mean,
I
you were very,
know.
very young then.
I was very young. The stuff with
Yeah.
Seth was happening around the same time too.
Madonna.
Okay, so you have always been this busy. It feels
Yes.
like you have always been this busy. And that's the power of saying yes, isn't it?
It's a power saying yes, and I've had great mentors.
Mm-hmm.
A great high school. I went to a high school. I don't know if you know where Agura is, Kelly.
Yes, of course.
I went to high school, Agura High School. Had great teachers there. A great music teacher, Ed Lojeski, genius. He was Johnny Mathis's musical director, so he was my music teacher and my piano teacher. It's like people like that sort of guiding me. I also had a great drama teacher, Eileen Daniels, and she asked me if I would help out with a project outside of school, being the accompanist for a musical called Kismet. And I think I was 15 years old. And she said to me one day, she said, Mitch, you could do this professionally one day. And when she said that, I said, oh no, she has blessed me and cursed me at the same time.
And she had.
What I meant to do.
This is what you were meant to do. That how beautiful
What I
that
was
it,
meant to do.
you found it so early. That's the beauty of it. I think that's so interesting to listen to, and it's been a blessed journey so far. It's so good.
So in terms of being busy at that time, people are always looking for piano accompanists who listen to the artist singers, who are flexible. And so I was able to get part-time jobs and make myself available for those opportunities while I was
Incredible.
going to college.
Absolutely
Yeah.
incredible. I love it.
Late last night, you texted me about another possible opportunity.
What?
Could I make a mention of it? There was something that you were involved with about a new songbook for a Broadway musical.
Oh yeah, I've been helping a friend. He came up with creating an idea for a musical called Olamore, based on the catalog of the English pop band Erasure.
Oh,
And so about 3 years ago, we did a couple readings, and then we did a studio recording of the songs in his musical that he chose from Erasure's catalog. And it's been a great journey because about a year ago, these Broadway producers who have a hit right now with The Outsiders, which is the big new Broadway show, they're producing the show Olamore. And so it's kind of been exciting.
Kind of.
Kind of. Que mijo. That's very exciting.
Everything that you've talked about has been exciting. It's not like just one or two things, but I mean, it's like out the gate. I feel like We need to start recording like his everyday life. We need this on film because people are going to be talking about your career for a very, 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 very long time because it really is inspiring. Like we said, it comes from an altruistic place. It's great.
But also sometimes, Kelly, I feel making a joke of it, like what's that Woody Allen movie, Zelig?
You want to do a spoof?
Are we allowed to
Just
mention
be-
him anymore?
No.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, that's
But
But
I think
yeah.
in the movie, he was always in these. I've never seen the movie, but I heard he's in this character that's always meeting world famous people
Yeah.
and kind of by
yeah.
chance.
And
It just,
by chance, he just turns the corner and runs into somebody, and then, hey, do you want to work with me on a da da da? And it's that. That's what it's crazy. It is like a movie. That's a perfect analogy.
Who is the last person you turned the corner and ran into that? Hey, oh. Okay,
Oh,
that's an off the book
that's-
question. Sorry.
I know.
You're gonna do that. You'll do that tonight at the premiere of Studio One.
but what I do want to say is that I've learned never to say no
Mhm.
unless it doesn't feel good
Right.
somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know the possibilities,
Mhm.
and anything can happen. Anything can happen.
It is so true.
In-
And
in a-
in a positive way, exactly.
Amen.
It's such a good lesson. So we've got one last question that we love to ask here because I come from a design psychology background, and which is fascinating to me, right? Like how your surroundings affect you. So we ask everybody. So when you're feeling the most inspired and you're feeling the most creative, what space? Tell us about the space that makes you feel the most inspired and creative. What does that look like?
Well, that's a really great question. I love that. For about 20 years, I had an amazing apartment in Los Feliz that was an old Spanish style duplex apartment, 2 stories. And what was great about that was that I didn't have a lot of neighbors around me. I could play the piano late. I could, it had a lot of space. And there was a lot of history in the walls that was attractive to me, a romanticism almost. And most recently, where I live right now, I live in West Hollywood, I was able to find a space that was similar to that. As you see in the background,
Yeah.
it's 2 stories, a duplex, a Spanish duplex, and there's a freedom in this space that I feel like I don't feel inhibited,
Okay.
and I can create in this space, which is a blessing. I'm so grateful for that.
Man.
Yes, because it does make a difference, and I'm so glad you acknowledge that. Right. So you've got some attachments to Spain, obviously.
Yeah,
But you
well-
feel comfortable in a certain aesthetic, right?
She said it. I did not, and she doesn't know. But Mitch actually
Yeah.
has Spanish blood,
Oh well, there you go.
literally from Spain.
Well,
So
see,
it's just driven in there. You know, I remember a time where Sandra was making a joke about people not being, you can't be creative in LA. And she said, no, honey, you can't be creative anywhere. Get the hell out of here. And so I see
funny.
that it's true. And anywhere that you've been with her, because we knew each other from our New York days, you and I. But whether you were there, whether you were in LA, whether you were up in San Fran or what have you, this continuous creativity keeps to going on. And I'm going to throw one other question. If you were looking at your 15-year-old self, what kind of advice about your creative ambitions would you tell yourself at this point of life?
Well, it's something I try to tell myself still. I think I was a little hard on myself. You know, I think as an artist, you have to have a certainty, and artists don't often talk about different insecurities, but I think as a 15-year-old, I was a little bit uncertain. How is this all going to work out? How is it even possible that I could write songs for great artists, or and you just have to relax and dedicate yourself and have blinders on and not worry about, you know, the voices in your head, things like that.
Yep.
So more security.
Well, it plays into all of us, right? You go, is this a good idea? Should I do this project? I don't know. I can't really see where this is going, but it feels good. It feels right. It's got all the right meaning. Just do it. Right?
And another thing, Lucas, I think as a 15-year-old, if I had disappointments at an early age, I've learned sometimes it takes a little longer to heal from them. You just pick yourself up, you suit up, and you show up again the next day.
True.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
when we were talking last week, you said consistency. You mentioned being constant.
Yes.
Consistency. And I find that key to so much stuff rather.
Oh,
in
absolutely.
life.
I call it putting on the spit and shine, what you just said.
Showing up.
So showing up, you know, when you're feeling absolutely terrible, and for the spit and shine for us girls or boys is do your hair, get dressed, pull it together, put a smile on your face, change your chemistry, and
If you have
go.
hair, it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay being the only one here with no hair. It's okay.
Yes.
But it's true. That little thing called elbow grease.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Mitch. So
Yeah.
I know that we're
And also,
please talk
and
away.
loving the process of elbow
Yes.
grease.
Right.
I love that.
That's right.
I love, you know,
That's your
sometimes
creativity, right?
Exactly.
I love being in a room with someone creating a song. I love being in the studio recording a song, putting pieces together, and then it's done. And you might have great success with it, but I think at the times creating the work itself is the most rewarding and exciting.
Right. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
the destination, it's the journey.
It really is. It really is. I think as creative people, we're really fortunate to be able to
Hell yeah.
stop and look around that room that seems chaotic and crazy and full of ideas and stressful and all that. But that's what gives us the energy.
That's part of my lair today after when we finish
yeah.
up. It does give us the energy.
It
I think
does.
sometimes if people don't understand that creative aspect though, and like Mitch, you remember how sometimes I'm sure your mom and dad, would worry about, you know, what creative issues and, you know, those kinds of things, which comes up with parents.
How are you going to make a living doing this?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I've heard. We've all heard it. We've all heard it. I absolutely know this, lived it. Same. But
Yeah.
yay, mom! Though I have to give another shout out for your mom because
She's
when
a
you're
goddess.
right, of course. But when your parents support you and say, "My son is a songwriter," you would love. I mean, you were so young that there's some parents who would go, "Oh no, you know, either I don't want him to do this, or he's too young and he can't do it," and that didn't even occur to her.
Mitch's story with his mommy makes me cry, but I just love. Shout
She-
out to mommy,
she's a blessing.
please. She is
Shout out to mom. She's 101.
101 years old.
Wow.
Girl, please.
Love that.
I was blessed with two parents who really supported my endeavor
Damn
doing
right.
this career. And I could have an episode talking about them. I mean, they're amazing. I'll make this really short. My dad had he had some surgery, some brain surgery, probably about 15 years ago while he was still alive. And it was very, very serious surgery. And the surgery went well. And he's in the hospital. He calls me the next morning at 6:30 and said, "Have a great gig today.
Wow.
You just had like major brain surgery."
He's thinking of you.
Calling me to tell me to have a great gig.
Oh, that's so sweet. I could
His
cry.
brain was thinking of his son.
That is so sweet.
So blessings to most incredible parents.
Yes,
That's
please
awesome.
give a kiss to mommy when you see her next weekend from
I
me.
will do that. Thank you.
Mamacita. And is there anything that you need to tell people about? Okay, so remember, folks, you can catch Studio One Forever on Amazon.
Can't wait.
You can catch Beth Lapidus' new show, which is also going to be out and touring, I believe, towards the end of the year around California.
Palm Springs, it's a lot.
Okay, so
Excellent.
Christine and Roddy will be there, definitely. You already
Great.
know. And
Fantastic.
do keep in touch with us to let us know when Au L'Amour is going to be dropping out because, oh my God.
Oh my God. Anything 80s for me, but the song has been playing in my head since you said it. So that'll be an earworm for me for the next 24 hours that I'll be singing that song.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
then, Mitch,
Amazing.
after the show, I'm going to leave you a voice message to tell you something.
Listeners are in New York City over the holidays. Come see Sandra Bernhard at Joe's Pub.
Exactly.
Booyah. Exactly. So over the winter holidays, there's going to be 11 dates, you said?
Yes.
11 dates over the holidays. It's the annual Joe's Pub thing, and Mitch is behind the scenes with the Gangsterline as always, just like I met him so
great.
few years ago when we were just a bit younger than we are now.
And I want to thank you both. You both are amazing. It's been so much fun being here today.
Thank you so much.
Lucas, congratulations. Congratulations, Kelly.
Thank you.
What a great show.
Thank
And
you.
when we met Lucas, I always thought, you have an incredible voice.
Thank you, love.
And what are you going to do with this incredible gift and talent you have, your voice?
Well, just
Here
starting
you
to
are.
finally put it
He's
to
gonna
use.
he's gonna talk in my ear hour after hour. And I love him.
I will never forget. We were at a show with Sandy, and Judy was there, Judy Gold, and she turned around and she said, "I'm sorry, but you need to do something with your voice, like now." She just said that to me and then turned around.
There you go.
I will never forget. So shout out to Judy because I started finally doing that.
Hey,
and
thank
all our
you.
love to Sandra and all our love to you, Mama Papa Son.
Yes.
Thank you so much for dialing in today because it's a busy day. He's
Thank
got the
you.
premiere in a bit. So.
Yes, congrats on the premiere. Can't wait to hear all about it.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
sweetheart.
Take care,
So
Mitch.
power to the
Thank you.
people. Mitchell Kaplan, we will see you on the flip side.
Amazing.
Ciao, my love. They
Ciao.
see ya. Oh yeah, I'm gonna take this so it doesn't ruin my hair anymore.
Well, I'm gonna do, our little wrap up because, as we do here, everything you do in your life.
Is for us, but we do want to talk a little bit about the lair and the. Can we talk?
Are we gonna go backwards?
Yeah, we're gonna go backwards.
All right, we're going backwards.
This is backwards time. It's like Beetlejuice or some shit.
Do I like these on my head? I kind of do, but all right. No, we take them off.
Yeah, okay.
There we go.
Same. For those of us without hair. Again, as usual, the only one without hair. But we had to do a side up because, of course, our brother Mitch, who we just finished with, fabulous interview.
I can't believe all the opportunities he's had. It really, truly, it's like a
Non-stop.
movie. Really.
It's his own documentary, actually.
That's what I was
That's an
thinking. I was
idea.
like, there is some, we need to follow him and just go through his life because it's so extensive.
It's a pitch to Logo, for sure.
Man.
For the Logo channel.
He is phenomenal. I love him.
And so, in
so
fact, we
sweet.
did meet in a Sandra Bernhard show at the end of 2003, exactly 20 years ago. 20.
I know, isn't it crazy?
And it's, oh
Right.
my God, I was like fresh out of uni. It was just like, but on the backwards flip of today, the creative thing, I'm going to talk about, and Lucas is there really quickly.
Yeah, do
When
it.
you have the parents that, as I mentioned a few podcasts ago, my father retired and he's with me probably half the year and then gone half the year. And one thing that he gets concerned about that Mitch mentioned was about, I think most parents just want you to have as much safety in numbers, usually monetary numbers. And
I was thinking, like, what?
it's
Yeah.
very difficult for my father to see me, like he sees me working hard all the time with the scholastic stuff, with the
Yeah.
education stuff, with the business stuff. But then at night, I'm up late at night doing this stuff, the
Right.
writing, the creative stuff.
Right.
And he's always, when he's in town, I don't understand why you're doing this, Mijito. You need to go to sleep, because he's never had a creative.
My dad's the exact same way. 100%. They don't understand it. They just, this is the stuff that we love. We would do it all day. And
Exactly.
all day just because, like, you, if I said to you, I need help writing something, you and I would be in the trenches writing for 5 or 6 hours, ordering food and having a cocktail and doing whatever.
Several cocktails.
Right. But for fun, because it's the creative.
It's
right?
part of the life.
It's
giving
part of our
us
life. It does give us life.
Maybe
And
that's how I need to explain it. So what I was going to bitch about was, how do you explain that? How do you deal with it with your dad when he would go on that tip?
Well, they stopped. They stopped because I think I
Some
know.
just popping off. in
I
mine.
know, but I do know that my dad just had a very, like yours, a very, this is what you do. You go get this career, you work at it, you just do this, right? And then when you're done, you just do it. But he loves it so much that my dad is retired, and still doing it. So it's the same thing. I said, your passion is that. And if I took that away from you, you would be
Beside yourself.
distraught.
Completely.
Distraught. So it's the same thing for anything creative for us. Like we kind of go cuckoo if we're not doing something creative, and that's why it's so easy. So I equate it that way, and then for the numbers conversation, right? Like they're concerned that you're going to make it, you're going to make it. You've always stood on your 2 feet. You're always going to find something, just like Mitch,
17.
right? Just like Mitch, because we're entrepreneurs, and so is he. And anybody who has that same mind, you kind of have to be when you're a creative.
Yeah.
You need to have that. The thing is, and what I've said 1,000 times is, I think in school, everybody needs to learn a little bit of business, right? So even if you're not, even if you become a professional, quote unquote, and you have a 9-to-5 job, right, where you're in and out and that's what you do, you still have a passion for that and you still need to understand the business part of it. And then if you're not creative, you sure as hell need to know the business side of it, because you are going to be running your own ship.
That's what made me so happy to hear him say,
Yes.
yes, I do see some of these kids who are doing this and can run their own ship, because I don't know if I necessarily see that a lot here.
Well, it's
And maybe that's where my questions came from.
probably because it is a different. I mean, we talk about the cultural differences all the time, right? And they are 100% real.
Straight up.
Yes.
Are you
And
going to tell me you love me forever? But it's true. They are 100% real. And
yeah.
as Mitch said, you keep that stuff going, but they are there. And so for me, who's going to deal with my daddy later on in a couple months when he gets back, I'm just going to keep on doing my midnight oil. I think more than anything, when my father's around, Mijito, you need to sleep.
Well,
You do
because
need to
he's your
sleep.
dad. He's always going to say the things like I do the same thing, even though my kids are creative in their own world and supporting themselves and whatever. You can't help it. It's just a mom thing to go, did you eat? You can't help it. It's just what we do. But
So shout out to our parents who love us.
shout out to the parents who love us and are looking at us going, you know what? Good for you.
Darn tootin', we're designing our lives, tell you what. And well, I'll let the queen do the shout out as we outro here, my children of the corn.
So what I was saying a little bit is that everything you need to do, you do it for you, right?
That's right.
Right?
Remember
And-
you, include you. Remember you.
And others. So you start to see your world as something that you're designing.
Because you are.
Right?
So make sure you're a little happy. Bring the joy. That's the word of the end of the year. Bring the joy.
Joy. Looking for that every single day.
That's right. And folks, keep doing that. And we'll be back next bat time with more goodness for you and your ear and eye holes. Remember, you can catch us wherever good podcasts are streamed and our YouTube channel. And you get all those links and stuff down below as well. All right, my loves. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye. Design your life, kiddos.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.